The mentalities are completely different and the problems are completely different.
बेंगल है इसको थोड़ा समझना मुश्किल है
লক্ষ্মীর ভান্ডার বলো বৃদ্ধ ভাতা বলো ওটা অলিপর আমার লক্ষ্মীর ভান্ডার যুবশ্রী যুবসাথী এইগুলো দিয়ে মানুষের মুখ বন্ধ করার চেষ্টা করা হচ্ছে
One party is more evil and the other one is like less evil.
20 साल 30 साल से वोट देके आ रहा है उसका भी नाम काटा
আমার স্বামীর অবাদ গেছে আমারও গেছে
এবার লোক পরিবর্তন চাইছে
People are very intelligent and Bengalis are much more intelligent. So they knows what will happen. जो भी आएगा अच्छा ही होगा.
Hello and welcome to Countdown Bengal. We've been traveling around and it's been hot, humid and fork lightning. And I don't mean the weather. This has really begun to be a very stormy election. And what happens here will have major ramifications beyond Bengal. You've heard the well-known and correct saying, what happens in Bengal today happens in the rest of India tomorrow. Well, that's how important this election is. Now, in this countdown show, my brilliant colleagues and I will talk about our experience talking to ordinary voters in the field and talking to political leaders of the different parties. But let's start with first, how have we got to this position in Bengal politics? There have been three phases, amazing three different phases, most unusual in any state. Just let's start with how we got to this point. How we got to Mamata Banerjee being in power for 15 years. Look back, there are three distinct phases of politics in West Bengal. Phase 1, that happened in 1996 to 2001. That was the rise of Mamata, the rise of the TMC, where she demolished the Congress. The Congress went from nearly 40% down to just 8% in one election. And she went from virtually zero to about 31%. That is a phenomenal change rarely seen in elections. Let's go to phase 2 now. That's between 2001 and 2016. That's the rise of the TMC again, but this time it demolishes the left. In 2001, the left was nearly 50%, 49.1%, and it dropped to 27%. And she went up from 31% up to 45%. Again, a huge and most unusual change and swing of this magnitude is rarely seen in politics in India and anywhere around the world. And then comes phase 3 of Bengal politics. Phase 3 is the rise of the BJP. Phase 3 is 2016 to 2021, the last assembly election. So the rise of the BJP demolishes whatever was left of the Congress and the left. Congress and the left together in 2016 were about 39.5 and they dropped to about 10%. And the BJP went from 10% to 38%. These are phenomenal changes and that's where we are right now. Let me ask, I think, Monadeepa, don't get me wrong, don't take it otherwise.
Sure.
You are one of the most respected journalists of India. You've lived here, you've watched the politics, you've understood it better than anybody else. So explain it to us especially this young man, these three phases, Mamata coming at the expense of the Congress, then the expense of the left, and then the BJP rising so fast suddenly. What happened? Why was this change?
Don't want to go too much into history. I could take all day. But the fact of the matter is, Mamata formed her Trinamool Congress 1998. And then in 2004, however, after an initial success, she got one seat in parliament. She was reduced to the only person in parliament representing her party. That was 2004. And a lot of people wrote off Mamata at that time. But
you didn't.
no, I've
You
been
saw something coming.
I have been watching her since 1984, and I knew the story wasn't over.
You were not born in 84. Come on. Anyway, let's go.
So Mamata Banerjee, lone MP of the Trinamool Congress in 2004. And what happens next is the Sachar Committee comes along. Sachar Committee, which examines the condition of Muslims all over India and says West Bengal's record is very, very poor.
And she latches, okay.
She latches on to
And
that.
we'll go into that actually, the Hindu-Muslim aspect here. But you're saying that was key in the change.
Key in the change of support drifting from the left, and Mamata Banerjee making the most of that opportunity, along with, don't forget, Shingur and Nandigram.
What about the recent rise of the BJP? What a phenomenal increase.
Well, Bengal was waiting for a change. For 37 years, the CPM and its allies ruled the state. Congress always second. And Congress normally more interested in Delhi. Ajit Panja, Pranab Mukherjee, Ghani Khan Chowdhury, everybody looking there and not here. So the party here got weaker and weaker. And Ms. Banerjee has been agitating from the early mid-90s. 1998, as she says, she formed a party. Jyoti Basu retired in 2000. So the old,
Right.
Jyoti Basu forever fell. So as I said, these are two parties fighting, doing nothing. So there was a generational change, I think. And Mamata, of course, first got the Congress vote because she had been a Congresswoman. Later on, the 2011, I think the Communists fell to Mamata. That weakened them even further. So then she took their vote. And
But I
then
wanted
came
you
the
to
BJP.
also focus on the BJP
Yes,
suddenly.
because when there's left, there is always right. There is another. Both the positions were vacated. The Congress vacated the position, the left vacated the position, and the BJP smartly swept in. And as you were saying, the BJP then picked up whatever was left, the change that was left, and then again actually has become a two-party system, like it was for 40 odd years in Bengal. So we're back to where we started. Both parties are new, both parties are different.
Baj, you love data. For the BJP to have such a swing, to go from 10% to nearly 38%, that's phenomenal. Just in one election between 2016 and the recent one. What explained that sudden change?
I think Durab touched on, if there is a void in the CPM or the left front, having lost, there was nowhere for anybody to move to. I mean, the CPM was not an alternative. They didn't have the leadership anymore. The BJP had funds, it had a national leadership. I think they were able to capture this, and I think they got a lot of the CPM cadre which also works on the ground, which helped them, which is what they lived on.
Yeah, but it's really surprising that the left went to the BJP. So carry on from Baj. One of the points that you raised that the BJP has also changed a bit. In what way?
Well, in 2021, we had a wave upon wave of BJP leaders coming in from Delhi. It was like the central BJP leadership was running the election here. That has changed. We had the Prime Minister coming in and personally attacking Mamata Banerjee. Now he doesn't mention her by name in any of his
That was a big mistake when she said Didi, Didi.
Didi, oh Didi, that cat call really, really went down badly.
Went down badly.
So this time round, he doesn't even mention her name. And BJP's strategy towards the Bengali voter is changing. I'm sure we'll talk about it a little more.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's changing, but he doesn't say Didi or Didi, but he says Ghuspaithiya. But we'll come back to that, as you say. And I just want to come to Shikha and Manish about women voters. If you look at Mamata's real strength, It's amazing how strong she is among women voters. Just look at the data. More women support the TMC. The TMC's lead over BJP is amazing. Amongst men, it's only 4% lead over the BJP. TMC, 4% higher than the BJP. Amongst women, it's 10% higher than the BJP. 10% higher, which is a huge margin by any electoral standards. So you've been talking to a lot of women of different, from Hindus, Muslims, upper caste, lower caste. What is this affinity, this attraction with Mamata?
You're right. Mamata, even today, enjoys huge popularity amongst women of all castes, class, communities. And I think a large part of the loyalty also comes from the fact that she has started schemes in the last in years that she's been in power, which has benefited them directly.
स्टूडेंट के लिए जो कन्याश्री है, तब बड़े भाग्यश्री इतना कुछ दे रहे हैं हम लोग को, वो अच्छा लगता है. और जो हम लोग के लिए साइकिल, फ़ोन ये सब डोनेट कर रहा है, ये सब अच्छा लगता है हम लोग को.
लकी भंडार मिलता है?
हाँ मिलता है.
ওর জন্যই তো পাচ্ছি এটা, ওর থাকা উচিত.
লক্ষ্মী ভান্ডারের টাকা পায়, সংসারে কাজে লাগায়.
লক্ষ্মীর ভান্ডার পাই, ওই টাকা দিয়ে আমার সংসারে যেখানে লাগে আর কি সেখানে লাগাই.
ভোট কাকে দেয় না দেয় ওটা তো বলতে পারবো না, কিন্তু লক্ষ্মীর ভান্ডার দিতেছে, আমাদের উপকার হইতেছে, এইটাই বলতে পারি.
उससे क्या करते हैं पैसा?
কাজে লাগাই, বাচ্চাকে পড়াশোনার কাজে লাগে, আমাদের সংসারের কাজে লাগে, ভালো কাজে না. পয়সা তো আর খারাপ কাজে লাগে না, ভালো কাজের জন্য লাগে.
बहुत है, हमारा लड़का को भी अच्छा जॉब मिला है, हम लोग को भी मिल रहा है, हम लोग को भी.
पर बीजेपी कहती है जैसे 1500 रुपए मिलती है,
हाँ,
वो हम लोग आएंगे तो हम 3000 रुपए देंगे.
और जब आएंगे फिर मिलेगा तो देखा जाएगा. आता है तो सबे बहुत कुछ बोलता है, पहले आने तो दीजिए, उसके बाद देखा जाएगा.
हमारा विधवा पेंशन मिलता है, लक्ष्मी भंडार इसका था.
हम लोग को बहुत कुछ किया.
क्या क्या किया आपके लिए?
हम लोग को पेंशन का कर दिया, फिर वो तकलीफ में है सब कर दिया, जो कर दिया वो कर दिया.
দিদি এত সাহায্য করতেছে তো দিদিকেই দিতে লাগবে. তাহলে যে সাহায্য করবে, যে বেশি দিবে তাকেই দিব.
কি?
হ্যাঁ, আমরা তো দিদিকেই দিব.
क्यों?
লক্ষ্মীর ভান্ডার দেয়, লক্ষ্মীর ভান্ডার দেয়, এর মধ্যে ছেলে যুব সাথী পায়.
লক্ষ্মীর ভান্ডার বলো, বৃদ্ধ ভাতা বলো, হ্যাঁ এইগুলো এই মানে যুবক ছেলেদের মাধ্যমের পর থেকে এদেরও টাকা দিচ্ছে, এইগুলো হচ্ছে অ্যাকাউন্টে পড়ে যাচ্ছে আমাদের. ওটা অলিভার আমার, আর কারণ নয়, আর কারণ ওটা আমার. তো এবার আমার মনটা তো খুশি হবে যে আমার 1500 টাকা আমার অ্যাকাউন্টে এসে গেছে.
कन्याश्री है और अभी अभी शुरू हुआ है, যুব সাথী শুরু हुआ है. তারপর কি আছে ওই সাইকেলটা যেটা দেয় ওটাকে কি বলে, সবুজ সাথী. और भी स्कीम है यहाँ पर सरकार दे रही है, वही काफ़ी है.
I do remember coming here 15 years ago, going into a village and a little schoolgirl saying, "Look, I've got a bicycle," and riding up and down, and we showed it on air. She was just showing off that she got a bicycle. So that
Yeah.
you're right, it happened
So
a
it
long
has,
time ago.
but also we see now that the beneficiaries of these schemes want something more.
Yeah.
And especially in urban areas, and even in rural areas, girls and women who have had the benefit of some education. So I met a young woman on College Street, and she said she's been a teacher for the last 10 years, but she's never held a permanent job. She's always been on contract. And she said, I've had enough of bhatas and all these Shri schemes. What I want is a job. So I think aspirations are changing. And Mamata Banerjee, if she comes back to power, or any other government, has to do something
But
about
would you
the lack of
say,
jobs.
That the teacher you met who wants a permanent job, 1,500 rupees is not that significant, but to a woman in a village who really had no income earlier, 1,500 rupees is a major change in her life.
Yes, it has given them a certain independence to go out and spend the money on themselves. But a large number of women may spend some amount of money on themselves, but it is for the family. So the aspiration is also for the family that their children should get jobs, they should get a better education, and so on.
কন্যাশ্রীটা দরকার, উপশ্রীটা দরকার, যারা স্টুডেন্ট তাদের ঠিক আছে, কিন্তু লক্ষ্মীর ভাণ্ডার, যুবশ্রী, যুবসাথী এইগুলো দিয়ে মানুষের মুখ বন্ধ করার চেষ্টা করা হচ্ছে। আমাদের হাত পেতে আমরা সরকারের কাছ থেকে কেন টাকা নেবো? আমরা পড়াশোনা করছি নিজের পায়ে দাঁড়ানোর জন্য, তার জন্য সরকারের দরকার আমাদেরকে জব দেওয়ার। তাদের কাছ থেকে ভিক্ষা নিয়ে পয়সা চাইছি না আমরা, তাদের এটা সবার আগে এটা দরকার, শিক্ষাটা।
I am currently teaching as a guest lecturer in Government Girls General College. I have qualified assistant professor, but there are so less recruitment now. I cannot work in a field that I would love to work in. I am not getting paid enough.
इतना भाता नहीं चाहिए, ठीक से पढ़ाई करे, उसके बाद उसको कोई अपॉर्चुनिटी, जॉब का अपॉर्चुनिटी मिल जाए, यही सही बात है।
আমি দেখেছি আমার বাড়ির পাশেই গভর্নমেন্ট স্কুল ছিল, সো দেয়ার আর নাম্বার অফ স্টুডেন্টস হু আর কামিং দেয়ার ফর পড়াশোনাটার অন্য মাপকাঠি ছিল, বাট সিন্স আফটার 2022 আফটার দ্য পোস্ট কোভিড এরা আমি মানে ম্যাক্স টু ম্যাক্স স্টুডেন্টস ছেড়ে দিচ্ছে, কারণ হচ্ছে যে চাকরি নেই, তো এসএসসি নেই, পিএসসি নেই, ডাব্লিউবিসিএস নেই, বছরের পর বছর যেখানে আটকে থাকছে তারা কেন পড়বে? সেই জন্য তাদের বাবা মারা পড়াশোনা ছেড়ে তাদের কেরালা, ইউপি এসব জায়গায় পাঠিয়ে দিচ্ছে।
Are you worried about jobs after you leave here?
Yeah, definitely. I've seen multiple students, multiple meritorious students are unemployed till the date after completing their degree, and they are quite meritorious, and I think they are quite good to get a, like good job, but still they are unemployed, which is very concerning.
The main issue is like we all need like job security and also the jobs. I guess that is the main issue that we youngsters we are facing.
बदलने से अगर कलकत्ता में इंडस्ट्री आता है, यहाँ के जो यंगर पर्सन है अगर उनको काम ठीक ठाक मिल जाएगा तो बदलना चाहिए।
টাকাতে আর সেরকম কিছু হচ্ছে না, তো একটা চাকরি দিলে সেই পরিবারটা আমি পাশে দাঁড়াতে পারবো, আমার মা বাবার পাশে দাঁড়াতে পারবো, ওই টাকার মধ্যে আমি কিছুই করতে পারবো না।
লক্ষ্মীর ভাণ্ডার ওই 1800 টাকা দিয়ে কি সংসার চলে? ম্যানেজ হয় 1800 টাকায়? হ্যাঁ, ভাগে ভূতে জমি করি, এই যে আলু ডুবে গেল, আলুর কোনো দাম নাই, কিচ্ছু নাই, কোত্থেকে কি হবে?
वो भाता दे रहा है, कुछ भी शुद्ध भाता दे के सब चुपचाप युवा समाज चुपचाप बैठे रहो और कुछ नहीं कर रहे।
লক্ষ্মীর ভান্ডার একদম বেকার, মানুষকে আরো বেকার করে দিচ্ছে।
As the youth, they're not getting sufficient employment, and the party which is in power, the TMCP, it is giving 1500 to the youths as a compensation, more of as a compensation for the employment that it cannot provide.
If you look at unemployment rate of India as a whole, you will find that West Bengal's unemployment rate is significantly lower, and this statistic is available to you. Yes, we need to do more. If it was the case that the urban women, or little more educated women, were disillusioned despite the social developmental money which they are receiving, Trinamool Congress would not have won the urban seats. If they were disillusioned, either they are not coming to vote, or if they're coming to, those who are coming to vote, obviously supporting us to a greater degree. The women, 2.4 crore women, that's 24 million women, have received to date, have received the Lokkhi Bhandar, which is 1,500 now, and the SC/ST gets 1,700.
Manish, you've traveled around North Bengal and you were telling us some amazing findings when you talked to a whole host of women, right?
प्रणय, में साथ साथ असम का भी इलेक्शन कवर कर रहा था। इसके पहले हम लोगों ने बिहार का इलेक्शन कवर किया था। मुझे जो सबसे बड़ा चेंज ये लगा कि बिहार हो या असम में अरुणोदय स्कीम, आप जानते हैं कि वहाँ पे 40 लाख महिलाओं के खाते में 9,000 रुपये डाले गए, लेकिन वहाँ भी हमें काफ़ी बड़ा सेक्शन ये मिल रहा था कि हमें पैसे नहीं मिले हैं या हमें पैसे मिल रहे थे, लेकिन हमारा जो वोटिंग पैटर्न है उसके बेसिस पे हमें अभी किक आउट कर दिया गया है। लेकिन यहाँ जो हमने देखा, खासकर नॉर्थ बंगाल में, हमें कोई ऐसा बीजेपी का भी सपोर्टर जो मिल रहा था, वो भी कह रहा था कि हमारे घर में महिलाओं को ये जो लक्ष्मी भंडार है वो मिल रहा है। लक्ष्मी भंडार मुझे लगता है कि देश में एकमात्र सिंगल ऑनगोइंग स्कीम होगा जिसमें जो बेनिफिशियरी का नंबर है वो 2,40,00,000। 2,40,00,000 काफ़ी बड़ा नंबर होता है। और ये मैंने यहाँ पे डिफरेंस देखा कि यहाँ एक्सक्लूजन नहीं था। और आपने हम लोगों ने भी
for
देखा
everybody, correct.
हाँ, और
and 2000, that's 24 million women.
हाँ, और मोदी दी हैं 2021 के चुनाव में कोरोना का सेकेंड फेज था, तो मोदी दी उसमें बार बार मुझे सिलीगुड़ी के साइड, नॉर्थ बंगाल साइड में भेजती थी। उस समय जो हमने देखा था बीजेपी के लिए एक एग्रेशन महिलाओं में भी, लेकिन इस बार हम देख रहे थे कि जो भी महिलाएं हमें मिल रही थी, लौकी भंडार मिल रहा है। और वो आप भी जानते हैं कि जहां भी कैश ट्रांसफर होता है तो जो इनकम्बेंट गवर्नमेंट के खिलाफ एंटी इनकम्बेंसी कम हो जाती है। लेकिन नॉर्थ बंगाल जो उनका एपी सेंटर है, जो उनका स्ट्रांग होल्ड है, वहां पे इस बार मैंने देखा ममता बनर्जी के लिए एक टिल्ट था।
But one slight difference between here and say Bihar and Assam, these have been going on for some time, not just before the election, although they increased it just before, like half an hour before the announcement. A little bit, but not like 5,000, 10,000.
Right.
One other thing which I want to talk to you, Dorab, about is that apart from being way ahead amongst women, just look at the turnout of women in Bengal. The state, it is the state with the highest women turnout in India. West Bengal, number 1 with 82% women turnout. And if you look at the bottom of the list, say the top 10 states, not the very small states, 9th is Gujarat with 62%. That's 20% lower turnout of women than Bengal, and Uttar Pradesh with 62%. So turnout combined with a 10% lead
amongst women makes a difference. But you know, all of the Northeast, including Bengal, Assam, they all have high turnouts, but this is a very high turnout. And if in this case you have a substantial lead among one gender, then
the combination
makes you
really
helps to win easily.
Why is the turnout so high? I mean, we've talked to women in the villages recently, and they're so political and so strong, especially with now they're financially independent. We said, do you vote the way your husband tells you? And they say, oh, him. And then he says, actually, I vote the way she tells me.
It's the history of political mobilization in Bengal. I mean, I saw that in the time of the left, when the left would make sure that everybody turned out to vote. The same thing is happening now. TMC workers are making sure everybody goes out to vote in great numbers. And also the awareness of politics and the political kind of
very political
atmosphere
state,
in the state that is perhaps not replicated in too many others.
Quite right, right. Okay, let's just move on from women to another very, very key factor in these elections, and that is religious divide. We've heard one of the key factors of the BJP campaign is Ghuspaithiya. But why is that? Look at what the data says. Bengal, first of all, has a very high percentage of Muslims. 27% of the population are Muslims and 71% Hindus. That's the census of 2011. Now, what does that mean? It means, in fact, Bengal, which is a large state, has the second highest percentage of Muslims in this country. Assam is slightly higher at 34%, but otherwise, if you go down to Chhattisgarh or Orissa, just 2%. So Bengal is really very high in Muslims. And how does that affect the vote? Just look at the divide. Different religious groups vote very differently. Look at the 2021, the recent assembly election. Hindu vote, the TMC got 39%, the BJP 50% of the Hindu vote. Muslim vote, TMC got 75% and BJP 7%. So based on figures like that, 50% compared to 7%, should they be trying to win over the Muslims or trying to win over more Hindus? What should the BJP strategy be and what should the TMC strategy be?
You know, the BJP has positioned himself as a party of leaning towards the Hindus. And the question is, don't forget, pre-independence Bengal was a very polarized state. It's just that neither the CPM nor the Congress used that as a bank. Now you've got a party that is using that as a plank. So I'm not surprised that the BJP is doing so well among the Hindus. And TMC is saying, let's at least consolidate the Muslims.
So one of the sad things about politics and elections in particular, which we've watched over the years, hatred works much better than love. You go and give somebody a hug in parliament, no impact on swing. Of course, somebody, and it's happening around the world. In America, these infiltrators are coming in. In Europe also, they are using it. Hatred works better. To some extent, both are using hatred, or let's not say hatred, let's say fear. Mamata is saying fear of the center taking over, replacing Bengali with Hindi or Gujarati, and these outsiders coming. That's also fear. So both are kind of, that's why it's a bit of a stormy campaign.
Mamata Banerjee is trying to polarize. She is trying to instigate the Muslims. Mamata Banerjee is communal. Her agenda is communal. She is trying to consolidate Muslim vote bank through her appeasement politics. We are not.
But every now and again, Ghuspaithiya, they are coming.
It's a genuine issue.
But it's anti-Muslim actually.
No. We are in favor of Indian Muslims. They are our brothers and sisters. We are against the non-Indian Muslims, those who are infiltrators, especially Rohingya and Bangladeshi Muslims.
You see, if you follow these speeches, which are very discriminatory, the speeches of the BJP leaders, it was very clear from them that they would be removing a certain community. It is at so very early, when the exercise had just began and we started to fill up forms, that time the BJP leaders were saying कि 1 crore को निकाल देंगे. 1 crore is going to get deleted. So they were polarizing on the basis of religion. And it is proven that if you look at data of, say, Malda or Murshidabad, which is predominantly Muslim, and you look at the number of cases, you have lakhs of cases going into adjudication. I mean, 11 lakhs into adjudication.
हम अपना बाप माँ खुद का हमारा ग्रैंडफादर प्रो ग्रैंडफादर का सबका दिखा रहा है, फिर भी हमें डिलीट कर दिया गया ऐसे. हम कहाँ जाएंगे, किसको बोलेंगे? हमको लोग जब बोलते हैं कि आप बांग्लादेशी है, आप पाकिस्तानी है, कैसा दुख होगा आप महसूस कर सकते हैं.
यहाँ कोई बांग्लादेश का वोट नहीं है. 4 पुस्तान 5 पुस्तान ब्रिटिश से अमल से यहाँ बसवास चलाता है.
इन लोग का दिमाग में क्या चल रहा है क्या पता, किस लिए काटा है वो भी तो पता नहीं चला. अभी लोग बोल रहा है कि बांग्लादेशी रोहिंगा. अभी हमारा 14 पीढ़ी चला गया है. शुरू से कई साल से हम लोग है, 100-200 साल से है हम लोग इस पश्चिम बंगाल में, हम लोग इंडिया में है. लेकिन अभी किस वजह से काटा क्या पता.
वो बीजेपी का जो सपोर्टर है उस तो बोलता है कि हाँ ये घुसपैठिया है, बांग्लादेशी है, अब उसको भगाएंगे, वो करेंगे, ये करेंगे. उस तो खुश है. हमारा खून खोल जाता है कि हम देश स्वाधीन के लिए हमारा पूर्वपुरुष ने जान दिया है, चंदा दिया है, श्रम दिया है, सब कुछ किया है, और हमको बोलता है क्या कि हम घुसपैठिया है.
I went to a flower market, the wholesale flower market in Kolkata, and the term Ghuspaithiya was used so often. Everyone was talking about the fact that, maybe there is some truth. Now, one would have never heard this term before, but suddenly it's a term that has become very common. But I just want to say that, Mamata Banerjee and the TMC has also borrowed something from the BJP's playbook. You're building a Jagannath temple in Digha. You're building a huge cultural complex for
So they're trying to
Ma
win over
Durga,
more
Hindus. Or you're giving bhata to the imam. So I think somewhere...
No, but they say TMC stands for Temple, Masjid and Church. So,
but if you look at the seats,
right,
there are about 88, 89 seats where the Muslim population is 30%. They sweep them, all 86 of them, the TMC. But they don't do that badly in the Hindu seats either. They got 63% of those as well. Now, they may have lost some of that, and that's why the campaign that she is using is that these people are outsiders as well. You may call some of the minority community.
Well, you're right, because when you say Ghuspaithiya, that's somebody from outside, but there BJP is only referring to Muslim Ghuspaithiya.
Yes. And her defense is to say, no, you are the infiltrators.
Hindus are also Ghuspaithiyas. My family came from Bodishal. So, am I a Ghuspaithiya even though I'm Hindu? No, because I'm not Muslim, I'm not Ghuspaithiya. How do you work that out?
Yeah, so Mamata's campaign is to say that you are outsiders, that you've come in here just at election time. That's the only time the BJP really campaigns. You come in here, once the campaign is over, you go back, you don't belong here. You are trying
All
to
the
bring
leaders are
another
coming
culture,
from the centre, yeah.
Hindu culture.
So
to
she's
the
calling
state.
them Ghuspaithiya.
Yeah.
I see. Okay, but just moving on from Hindu Muslim, there's quite a big divide within Hindus as well. It's really BJP gets its highest support among the forward castes. Among the forward castes, BJP support is 59%, among OBCs 54%, but when it's Dalits and Adivasis, it comes down to 44%. So there's a caste divide also.
प्रणय, ये बीजेपी जब यहाँ पे आई थी तो उस समय तक ये माना जा रहा था कि यहाँ पे कोई कास्ट की पॉलिटिक्स नहीं होती है, लेकिन उन्होंने कहीं ना कहीं यूपी बिहार से थोड़ा बोरो किया और उन्होंने ओबीसी दलितों का एक तरह से उनको कंसोलिडेट करने की कोशिश की और जो राजवंशी कम्युनिटी है, मटुआ कम्युनिटी है, इनके बीच में उन्होंने रीच आउट किया और 2019 या 2021 दोनों का जो उनका सक्सेस है, इन दोनों कम्युनिटी के उनके लिए कंसोलिडेशन और अपर कास्ट जो एंटी टीएमसी वोट था, पहले वो लेफ्ट और कांग्रेस के साथ रहता था, जो शिफ्ट किया बीजेपी में। लेकिन हमने इस बार देखा खासकर नॉर्थ बंगाल में, वहाँ पे राजवंशी कम्युनिटी का काफ़ी ज़्यादा दबदबा है। कई सारे ऐसे असेंबली कॉन्स्टिट्यूंसी हैं जहाँ पर उनका वोट परसेंटेज 40% तक है। लेकिन इधर के 2-3 सालों में ममता बनर्जी ने काफ़ी ज़्यादा रीच आउट किया है, उनके डिमांड्स को फुलफिल किया है, जिसके कारण इस बार उन कम्युनिटीज़ में कहीं ना कहीं बीजेपी का वोट बैंक जो कंसोलिडेशन था उसमें क्रैक दिख रहा था।
बीजेपी कुछ भी नहीं किया है राजवंशी लोगों के लिए। नारायणी बटालियन करने की कोशिश थी, ठीक है, कोशिश की थी, अभी तक नहीं हुआ है। लेकिन हमारा दीदी, हमारा सरकार नारायणी बटालियन किया है, जिसका सदर दफ्तर है मैकलीगंज में। और राजवंशी के लिए जो दीदी किया है, भाषा के लिए भाषा अकादमी किया है, स्कूल बना है, 200 राजवंशी स्कूल बनाया है, ठीक है, और राजवंशी डेवलपमेंट कल्चरल बोर्ड किया है, सारे कुछ किया है राजवंशी लोगों के लिए।
2019 में जितना वोट हम लोगों को मिला था उससे कई गुना ज़्यादा वोट जो है 2024 में मिला। लेकिन जिस तरह से कांग्रेस और टीएमसी, सीपीआईएम और बाकी पार्टी का वोट डाइल्यूट हुआ और उसके साथ साथ ब्यूरोक्रेटिक सबोटेज, इसके कारण से ही हम लोग को यहाँ पर पराजित होना पड़ा। और लगभग जिस तरह से इन्फिल्ट्रेशन हुआ और घोस्ट वोटर बढ़ा, यानी 2019 और 24 इस 5 साल में लगभग यहाँ पर मुस्लिम वोट का परसेंटेज जो है 15 से 16% वोट ज़्यादा इन लोगों का हो गया।
The Hindu vote also is not uniformly behind the BJP. The forward castes are hugely, the Adivasis and the scheduled castes are not, but the OBCs, they're interesting. They're not as much as the forward castes supporting the BJP, but still quite solid supporters. What's happening on that front? It's fairly complex there, right?
It is a very, very complex issue that has ended up in court. So it's a lot of legalese, and let's just cut through that. Basic point is what we saw in 2021 is the BJP's reach out to Mathuas. Now, Mathua is this community that has come in, Hindu community that has come in from Bangladesh to Bengal and settled in this place where they are concentrated and apparently influence the vote in anything but, anything up to 40 to 80 seats. So the BJP wooed them, they benefited, and now the battle has continued for that particular vote. That's where also OBCs have come in. 17% of everything is reserved for OBCs. A part of it is Muslim OBCs, part of it is Hindu OBCs, and that has caused confrontation and confusion because the High Court has struck down reservation for Muslims under OBC.
OBCs,
yes.
which can be a huge issue in an election. We've seen it in other states.
Indeed.
Because of what's happening and all the them not getting their reservation, etc., are the Mathuas a little angry and upset with the BJP? Is there any change?
See, the Mathuas are upset and angry because they have been struck off the rolls and they have been given by the BJP the carrot of CAA for their citizenship. So if they want citizenship, they use CAA and they get citizenship, which could mean that they don't vote this time, but in future they will. That is a promise that the BJP has held out. The TMC is trying to undercut that very strongly. And so Mathuas are a community out in, on
So
a
this
limb.
kind of change could affect these elections.
No, the problem with CAA is you have to again come with lots of documentation in order to get that. Now, to get that documentation, you have to go back to Bangladesh to get it, which, some of them have moved here a generation, 2 generations ago. You don't have that documentation. And secondly, the process that has been followed so far has cleared very few people for this citizenship.
But the point is the definition of CAA. Muslims are Ghuspaithiya, as you have been saying, but Hindus coming in from Bangladesh are refugees and will be treated as such.
हमारा बॉर्डर स्टेट है, घुसपैठ हो रही है, आज नहीं 40 साल से आफ्टर पार्टीशन हो रही है, तो ये लोग तो हैं यहाँ, और जो हिंदू भी आए हैं उनके पास डॉक्यूमेंट्स नहीं है. हमने सीए में उनको बोला था रजिस्ट्रेशन करो, जो नहीं किया तो एलिजिबल नहीं है. ये नॉर्मल प्रोसेस में हुआ है, मुझे लगता है और भी ज़्यादा जाने वाले हैं.
Just staying with the religious divide in Bengal a little bit, just look at the electoral map. Don't look at the administrative map, look at the electoral map and how it is different. Highest concentration of Hindu, wherever you have a highest concentration of Hindus, the BJP dominates. Look at the high percentage Hindu areas. That's the north, the south central, 86% Hindus, the east, small area, 87% Hindus. And in these 3 areas, look at the north first. Out of the 43 seats, BJP gets 28. In the South Central, out of 35 seats, BJP got 27 out of 35. And in the East, out of 16 seats, BJP got 13. So wherever there's high Hindu concentration, BJP does well electorally, geographically. Now look at the areas where there's low concentration of Hindus. TMC dominates in areas where lower percentage of Hindus are in the population. Look at these areas, the whole central belt right down through Kolkata. Central areas, 73 seats, Hindus are just 56%, much lower than the all-state average. In the south, Hindus are 75%, and in southwest, very high percentage of Adivasis. So non-Adivasi population is only 66%. And look at how it manifests itself in terms of the electoral map. Look at the areas where TMC wins the most seats. The central area, TMC wins 67 out of the 73 seats. This is a high Muslim area and low on Hindus. And in the south, out of 101 seats, the TMC wins 98, the whole Calcutta and south. And then in the southwest, which is the most interesting and people haven't really focused on it enough, out of the 26 seats, the TMC won 25 seats. So Dora, we work together on these electoral maps rather than administrative maps. That's the way to look at elections, right? And
Yes.
what a difference it makes.
Yeah, we need to draw electoral regions rather than administrative regions because they reflect the voting patterns of the population and the religious patterns and the caste patterns of the population.
Right. So did you find this Hindu-Muslim divide in the people you talked to, Shikha?
In terms of the parties, they felt that if there were more Muslim parties standing for contesting this time, it would split the vote. For instance, the Indian Secular Force,
Where you visited, yeah.
which was launched around 2021 elections, they won 1 seat. This time they are in partnership with, they're contesting in partnership with the CPIM. And it's a troubled partnership, but they are contesting along with the CPIM.
But did you find, Manish, that actually Bengal, they're all living together happily, there's no real daily animosity and violence. Is that changing?
समाज में एक टेंशन तो है, समाज में तनाव तो हम पिछले 10 सालों में खासकर जब से बीजेपी आई है एक तनाव बढ़ा. उसका मैं आपको एक एग्जांपल देता हूं कि जब हम नॉर्थ बंगाल में थे तो रामनवमी का फेस्टिवल आया था और रामनवमी के फेस्टिवल में हम काफ़ी बीजेपी के लोगों के साथ ही बैठे थे. जिस प्रकार से आक्रामक रूप से तलवार लेके और भी दूसरे फायर आर्म्स लेके लोग प्रदर्शन कर रहे थे और रामनवमी को भी ऐसे वन डे मैच की तरह होता है, लेकिन वहाँ पर 3 दिन 4 दिन तक मनाया जा रहा था. तो कुछ बीजेपी के सपोर्टर्स ने बोला कि ये हमारा कल्चर नहीं है, हमारे यहाँ तो एक पूजा होती है. नहीं, वो बीजेपी के सपोर्टर्स.
I met a lot of people who said they're bringing North Indian festivals here. What is this?
दूसरी बात
So does it work against them? Again, the
थोड़ा सा एक जो एक सपोर्टर्स है बीजेपी के सपोर्टर्स में एक डिवीजन होता है कि यहाँ पे जो आउटसाइडर्स जो हैं जो बीजेपी की पॉलिटिक्स के लिए बीजेपी अभी भी बहुत सारे लोगों को बाहर से लाके उनको टर्म्स डिक्टेट करता है, उनको पॉलिटिक्स सिखाने की कोशिश करता है।
बीजेपी also about outsiders coming in.
বিজেপি সরকার যেটা করছে ধর্মের সুরসুরি দিয়ে ভোট কাটার চেষ্টা করছে, মানে উন্নয়নের তাগিদে ওরা ভোট নিচ্ছে না, ওরা ধর্মের সুরসুরি দিয়ে ভোটটা নিচ্ছে। এই পরিপ্রেক্ষিতে আমাদের এই নিয়ে পশ্চিমবাংলায় যে একটা সম্প্রীতির বাতাবরণ ছিল সেই সম্প্রীতির বাতাবরণ এই বিজেপি নষ্ট করে দিচ্ছে। আমরা চাই একসঙ্গে এই পশ্চিমবাংলায় একসঙ্গে সবাই মিলেমিশে থাকবো, উন্নয়নের জায়গায় হবে, উন্নয়নের তারিখে ভোট হবে, যে যেই উন্নয়ন করবে সেই ভোটটাতেই পার্সেন্টেজ বেশি হবে, কিন্তু ধর্মের সুরসুরি দিয়ে ভোট করা যায় না।
The issue right now I think is more about Bengali identity and how one party is clearly seen as an outsider party coming to Bengal who are trying to isolate the Bengali identity and taking the focus away from Bengalis. Of late, as we have seen a lot of mainstream Indian cultural festivities that were not a part of Bengal have been projected here, that we have like Ram Navami and all.
Like, I don't see any of the parties as like good in a sense, but like one party is more evil and the other one is like less evil.
There is a big difference between the internal politics of West Bengal as well as the external politics of the entirety of the country, because the mentalities are completely different and the problems are completely different.
ऐसी शोभा यात्रा रामनवमी की हमने कभी पहले नहीं देखी। राम सीता बने हुए हैं, राधा कृष्ण बने हुए हैं, सब कुछ बने हुए हैं, सब कुछ निकलता था यहाँ से, पर पहले कभी आज तक ऐसी कोई बात ही नहीं हुई। ईद में भी वहाँ पर देखिए किला बगान में बड़ा बड़ी से ईद भी मनाया जाता है, और बड़तला बड़ा बाजार में बड़ी शोभा यात्रा भी निकलती थी रामनवमी की। कोई ऐसा बात ही नहीं था कभी आज तक, पहले कभी नहीं हुआ। अब पंजाबी बिरादरी वाले रावण भी जलाते थे, रामलीला होती थी, कोई बात ही नहीं हुआ ऐसा, कभी आज तक नहीं ऐसा हुआ, पर अब हो रहा है।
ধর্মের নামে ঘৃণা যে দলই ছড়াচ্ছে সেটা বন্ধ হোক। আমরা ঘৃণা চাই না, আমরা ভালোবাসা চাই, আমরা বাংলা ভাষা যাতে বেঁচে থাকে সেটা চাই।
ये जो बीजेपी सरकार है मोदी है वो सिर्फ हिंदू और मुस्लिम दोनों का डिवाइडेड कर देता है, ठीक है। इससे तो नहीं होगा ना, देश तो आगे नहीं बढ़ेगा। हिंदू और मुस्लिम हम लोगों को देश जब स्वाधीन हुआ था सबका ही कंट्रीब्यूशन था, हिंदू या मुस्लिम बुद्ध जो भी बोलिएगा।
But Baj, when it splits like this, that can have a major effect on elections, right?
In the two regions or three regions that you mentioned where TMC does really well, the BJP doesn't do that well either. It gets low 30 numbers because the Congress and left pick up 10, 12. So actually, even if the Muslim vote splits a bit, it would need a rather large split, meaning the second Muslim party or third Muslim party would have to take a sizable chunk for them to lose
Because
ground there.
As
Yeah.
it is so high, 75%.
Yeah, and it's 75% and they get over 50% of the total vote in these regions.
If I can just make a point about what Manish said, and I think we discussed it earlier. He was talking about how, the import of the North Indian culture and Ram Navami into Bengal. And I will tell you that back in 2021, when the election results came out, after that Mamata Banerjee was so angry one day when she was passing through somewhere and some young men came and started shouting Jai Shri Ram at her. She was furious. She got down from her car and she sort of abused them. She was very, very angry. Jai Shri Ram at that time was a dirty word. I will say that the Trinamool has realized that's a bad tactic. And today, Trinamool leaders are out there wielding swords and celebrating Ram Navami. They also know they need the Hindu vote.
But I did notice that when they had a press conference, most of it was in Hindi, the BJP. And occasionally they would, even their slogans were more Hindi, then they started saying one or two Bengali slogans. But I talked to a lot of the supporters there and they said that's wrong, they should stick to Bengali because they're playing into the hands of...
So I think that's why, language, food, the TMC is using food to define what is a true Bengali fish. This whole thing that is erupted because the BJP, where it is in power, has stopped the sale of meat in certain areas in the state. And so they are using these cultural idioms to say that outsiders are coming in.
Okay, let's move on. Dorab, what we love is your focusing on what are the heavyweights.
Well, there is, as the TV program says, the big fight. The big fight is between Mamata Banerjee and Suvendu Adhikari. Suvendu Adhikari beat her last time in Nandigram by less than 2,000 votes. So Mamata Di came to Bhawanipur and won by 58,000 votes, which then became 9,000 in the Lok Sabha. Now Suvendu Adhikari has said, I beat you there, I am coming to Bhawanipur to beat you. So he's fighting 2 seats. I think one doesn't know what his chances of victory are, but I think it also when a leader fights next to you, as I said, constituencies like Rashbihari, like Baliganj, like Entali, like Calcutta Port, these are all constituencies surround Bhawanipur. So when your leader is contesting, you hope that some of the effect, though of course some of those seats were won by TMC by 40%, but still, it is the electorate is encouraged.
You just say you can't say who's winning. You know who's winning. You're just not
But
telling
I'm not
us.
telling you. That's right. That's correct. Now you got that right.
Better not say it loudly.
Yeah. Now the question is, the 2 small fighters, those who used to be big fighters, now are small fighters, which is CPM and the Congress. So we'll just take one person from each. In Congress, Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, 5 times MP, but only once MLA. These were all guys running to Delhi all the time to get the ministerialships. Because they were in power there, they were not in power here. Now he's fighting this time from Narampur, where the BJP has a majority of 13.5%. And on the left, where we went a couple of days ago to Jadavpur, Bikash Ranjan Bhattacharya, it's only on the 4th of this month that he ceased being a Rajya Sabha member. And now he's fighting there. And the TMC has a minor lead of 18.5% for Bikash Babu. So Bikash Babu has to overcome that. Now let's look at BJP. Firstly, Dilip Ghosh, former BJP state president. He was an MP from 2019 to 2024 and MLA from 16 to 19. He's fighting from Kharagpur Sadar. He's fighting from a seat which only has 2.5% majority for the TMC. And when we asked him, how come you, a senior leader, are fighting for such a marginal seat when there could be, he said, that's party discipline. That's the official line. Then there was Mr. Swapan Das Gupta, whom everybody knows, author, nominated Rajya Sabha member, journalist. He's fighting for a fairly safe seat of Rashbihari, which again is next to Bhawanipur. 17.2% lead for the TMC last time. So he'll have to work very hard to overcome that. Then Rupa Ganguly, our actress, the famous Rupa Ganguly, who was an Rajya Sabha MP once, she's fighting from Sonarpur South. Again, a TMC majority of 15%. And finally, Nishit Pramanik. His name constituency is called Matha Banga, which worries me just a little, but that is neither here nor there. I hope I'm not going to go there. The BJP has a lead of 12.
It shows that you went there.
The BJP has a lead this time. The BJP has a lead of 12.5% there. He's a former MP and a union minister. Now let's to Mamtadi's friends, the TMC. Kunal Ghosh, Beleghata, he led only by 42% last time. Firhad Hakim, we were talking about him. He stands from Calcutta Port, which covers your whole hometown of Alipur. He's a senior minister and the mayor of Calcutta. It is 45% lead, which is not bad really. Then the actress and TMC state secretary, Sayantik Banerjee, 22% lead. And finally, Jyotipriya Malik, who's a senior leader, 3 times winner, but he's only TMC 0.8% plus. So he's earlier had margin of 20%. So he may have a bit of work cut out for him. And I think that ends the list.
Every Bengali is a heavyweight. Excuse me, Dorab, every Bengali is a star. But you're just picking out a few.
I thought the really heavies I pick, or super heavyweights.
Super heavy. Every Bengali, you're being discriminatory.
I just like to add here that because safety and has been a big focus point of women's safety has been a big focus for the BJP. They have put up 2 candidates who everyone will be watching. One is the mother of the victim of the RG Kaur rape case, and the other is the face of the protest in the Sandesh Kali case, where a TMC leader was charged with sexual assault and land grabbing.
And yet they have given half as many seats to women as the TMC. So they have given particular seats to particular women to make a point.
Yes.
But as far as seats for women are concerned, they are at half the
TMC
rate.
has given 54 seats for women, which is like 20% of the total number. BJP has given
20 odd. Yeah.
24 seats. So they may say that they are working towards helping women, but
and the TMC leader also a super heavyweight, super heavyweight, Mamata D.
Correct. Okay, now, thanks to your on-ground revelations, we understand what's happening. Now, let's have a look ahead at what's going to happen. So, who's winning? Don't tell us now. Tell us later,
You really
after
want to
the
know?
election.
You know, in this country,
before that,
since the year 2000, okay, let me tell you facts. Since the year 2000, there have been 3 occasions when a party with a 10% plus lead has been overturned next time. Once was Jayalalitha, from 2011 onwards, she was later overturned. The other one was your friend Mr. KCR, who won once by more than 10% and turned around. And the third is a very dodgy one, in that in Karnataka, the Congress still kept the lead, but the BJP got more seats, and Mr. Kumaraswamy was waiting with open arms, so
Right,
BJP
so
formed the
it's
government.
with them.
But there are only 2 examples, though it can happen, so it's an unusual occurrence.
Right. So we've talked about what happened earlier, the 3 phases, what's happening right now. Looking ahead a little bit, just look at one signal of what could happen in this election, though it's not conclusive by any means. The by-elections that have happened since 2021. So the TMC has improved its vote in the 21 by-elections that have been held since the last assembly elections. In the last assembly elections, remember, the percentage vote of the TMC was almost 50% and the BJP 38%, like a 12% margin of victory. But in these 21 by-elections, now 21 by-elections being held in 5 years is unusual and quite significant. In fact, in the 21 by-elections, the TMC has won 20 out of the 21 and the Congress won. BJP has not won a single of the last 21 by-elections. And what was the percentage vote? TMC got 61% on average in these by-elections and the BJP 24%. So since the last assembly elections, there's been a swing in favor of the TMC of 11% and swing against the BJP of minus 14%.
By-elections are something which I don't think we are in a position to win, partly because the entire state machinery comes down very bad. But even if you look at the election from 21 to 24, you'll find that in 24, despite the fact that we lost a few seats, our overall percentage of votes, etc., remain more or less intact. I must be clear, Prannoy, that we are fighting this time to set up an alternative government. We are not fighting merely to carve out a place in the opposition.
So, Baj, an improvement of 11%, going from 50% to 61%, the TMC, is a phenomenal change. It may not happen again in this election, but is one small indicator on the ground. It's not an opinion poll which can be wrong, but it would be a worry because out of the 21 elections, the BJP won none by-elections. They won none. So 11% is huge, right?
that shows enormous support or groundwork for the party. But the BJP says when it's an election like that, they just can't match the TMC on the ground. Interestingly, even in the Lok Sabha, the BJP doesn't gain a lot of votes. I mean, 0.5% here, there. Normally, you expect them to do better in a general election than in an assembly election, since it is for the centre. That didn't happen. So I think that's also a very strong indicator.
So you're saying they plateaued off. Are you making a forecast? So Dorab, the point that Baj is making, that they didn't increase much in the Lok Sabha elections. Does that mean they plateaued? And now with the by-elections, I'm just talking about the data. What does it show?
I know there is a possibility they have plateaued in that. Don't forget the earlier elections were all Mr. Modi elections, whether it was Vidhan Sabha or Lok Sabha. He kept coming. Perhaps his ability to attract a greater audience has plateaued. And except for Mr. Adhikari, they really don't have any big leaders of the stature of Mamata Banerjee. So, perhaps it may have plateaued, one doesn't know. Though with the communalization this occurring to a certain extent, the SIR, we don't know what's going to do. They may go up, one doesn't know. But, the BJP has enormous resources, don't forget that.
So, Monadeepa?
Well, the BJP doesn't have a face that matches Mamata Banerjee's, no question. Shubhendu Adhikari has been at it for the last 6-7 years. What is interesting though, as part of a change strategy of the BJP that we are seeing this time, Mr. Amit Shah was there when Shubhendu went for nomination some days ago. And that has never happened. Imagine the Home Minister coming down to escort Shubhendu Adhikari.
That is a huge
for
change, actually.
Nomination. It's completely different. And just getting away from Shubhendu right now for a minute, Mr. Amit Shah also is somebody who has been saying Jai Ma Kali in Bengal lately instead of Jai Shri Ram. Mr. Amit Shah, Mr. Modi, all of them, they have been saying Jai Ma Kali. So that's also interesting. But yeah, Shubhendu Adhikari, perhaps the best bet that the BJP has for now.
Okay, let's come to a final analysis and understanding of something which has been quite disturbing to watch. Shikha, about SIR. Long queues, people complaining. Of course, it's a terrible thing that instead of doing this over 5 years, they've done it over 5 months. It's ridiculous. I think that's a point Dorab made earlier in his question to Shubhendu, that it's fine to do SIR, but do it properly professionally over a period of 5 years. This 5 months or little more is just ridiculous, causing a lot of hardship. Nobody has really proven that it's against one party or pro another party. There's a lot of suspicion and a lot of data will eventually come out, but it hasn't come out yet, except Alt News has done a pretty good job on that, showing more Muslims have been disenfranchised. But overall, everybody's upset about it, right?
Everyone is upset about it. I met an elderly Sikh shopkeeper here whose daughter has been, her name is not in the voters list. Several Hindus who said their names were not in the voters list. But the more vocal community on this issue are definitely the Muslims. If you go into the villages, you'll find that overnight, little centers, people have put up little sheds. A man is sitting there with a computer and all he does from morning to night is fill in application forms to be presented to the officials for the inclusion of the names. And all kinds of allegations are being made, all kinds of rumors are floating around because they feel that if today their name is not in the voting list, tomorrow they might be barred from the benefits of the government, any largesse. And so that is, I think, is sort of driving this fear that they have.
Right. Manish, you've been meeting many people who are upset about SIR. But how is it going to affect their vote? Are they seeing it as anti-center or anti-state or just angry and both sides are equally to blame? Is it not going to affect votes or is it going to affect votes?
प्रणय, मैंने देखा कि बिहार में भी ऑन द ईव ऑफ इलेक्शन, जो आप बार बार कह रहे हैं कि ये एक्सरसाइज पहले क्यों नहीं हुआ, लेकिन ये एक्सरसाइज ऑन द ईव ऑफ इलेक्शंस अब जो अपोजिशन पार्टीज हैं, जो एंटी बीजेपी पार्टीज हैं, उनका कहना है कि इसी के लिए इसको डिज़ाइन किया गया है कि आपके पास अपील का टाइम नहीं हो। जैसे कि बिहार में जब ये फाइनल लिस्ट पब्लिश हुआ था इलेक्ट्रल रोल, तो उस समय कांग्रेस पार्टी या आरजेडी के जो कैंडिडेट्स थे उन्होंने उसका लिस्ट देखने का समय नहीं था क्योंकि वो अपने टिकट में व्यस्त थे। लेकिन बंगाल में चूंकि टीएमसी कार्डर बेस्ड पार्टी है, इसलिए टीएमसी के कैंडिडेट्स को उतना ज़्यादा इन सभी कामों के लिए समय नहीं निकालना पड़ता क्योंकि पार्टी देखती है। लेकिन बंगाल में क्या हो रहा है, जिनका भी नाम कटा है वो कहीं ना कहीं ईसी से, इलेक्शन कमीशन जो एक तरह का अपीलेट अथॉरिटी है, उससे वो लेट डाउन फील कर रहे हैं। जैसे कि मैं आपको एक
वन सेकेंड, इज इट एंटी सेंटर बिकॉज एंटी इलेक्शन कमीशन और एंटी ऑल लीडर्स?
उनको लग रहा है कि इलेक्शन कमीशन जो है वो कहीं ना कहीं बीजेपी के साथ इन कनाइवेंस है। मैं आपको एक एग्जांपल देता हूं। इलेक्शन कमीशन का एक ट्वीट आया है और उसमें ईसी लिखता है, ECI इज स्ट्रेट टॉक टू तृणमूल कांग्रेस, दिस टाइम द इलेक्शन इन वेस्ट बंगाल would surely be fear-free, violence-free, intimidation-free, inducement-free and without any छापा, booth jamming and source jamming। तो इसका जो लैंग्वेज है और जिस तरीके से टीएमसी को स्ट्रेट टॉक टू तृणमूल कांग्रेस, तो लोगों को लग रहा है कि कहीं ना कहीं ईसी जो है वो एक पार्टी होके रिड्यूस हो गई है।
I am supporting election commission and SIR process because the death voter, fake voters, double triple entry voters and non-Indian voter names should remove from the list. It's our mandatory practices to save the Indian, to save the constitution.
The voters who are now remaining in the voter list should actually protest through this, through their ballot, that this should not have happened to her neighbor or his neighbor or to the friend or the relative. So you'll have parents in the voting list and the children have got obliterated. Or the children are there, the parents are not there. So they should actually protest for the one who got left out. So we are saying Pratibad ka bhi vote hona chahiye. It should be a protest vote of those who are there because these people are simply bulldozing.
এখানে ভোট করিয়ে কোনো লাভ হবে না, কারণ সব ভোটারের নাম যদি বাদ দিয়ে দেয় তো ভোটটা করবে কি করে? ও বেচে বেচে ভোটার রাখছে।
আমার ছেলেরা ভোটার, আমি ভোটার, আমার স্বামী ভোটার নাই। ও বাদ
আমার নাম কাটা, আমি মেয়ের ছেলে মেয়ের নাম উঠে গেছে,
আমি আছে, ও নাই।
300 ভোটার, 300 ভোটারের মধ্যে 197 ডিলিট।
তারপর কি এবারে হাইরানে মানুষের শেষ নাই, কত হাইরান করছে।
The entire SIR process, what is being showing as discrepancies or faults in that process, it's actually designed to be for that purpose, because SIR from the beginning was a biased process ensured by an election commission which has been acting in a very partisan manner, and the entire notion of discrepancies and under adjudication, it's going on in a random scale. But in the later half of the SIR, we saw that targeting the Muslim community and the Dalit Hindu refugee communities, that is the Mutuas, large scale deletions are happening.
23 तारीख तक तो अब शायद डिसाइड ना हो पाए, वोटर लिस्ट में भी आपका नाम तो शायद नहीं आ पाएगा।
अब नहीं आएगा तो क्या करूँगा, वोट नहीं बदलने का, फिर बाद में देखा जाएगा वोट के बाद नाम आएगा या नहीं आएगा। मैं देखूंगा, कोर्ट में जाऊंगा, सुप्रीम कोर्ट जाऊंगा, मैंने क्या करना है, जो कुछ करना है करूंगा। मैंने
कोर्ट तक भी जाने
कोर्ट तक जाने का तैयार है, सब कुछ तो है मेरे पास।
আমার স্বামীরও বাদ গেছে, আমারও গেছে, আমার দেওয়ারও গেছে, আমার যার গেছে, আমাদের বাতে 4টে ভোট বাদ। হ্যাঁ, তো আমরা সবকিছু ডকুমেন্টস দিয়ে কেসে লাগা ভোটটা বাদ হবে।
SIR का बहुत सारा प्रॉब्लम है, ठीक है, ऑनलाइन बहुत भीड़ है,
ऑनलाइन में अप्लाई करने हैं।
मेरा नाम काटा नहीं, मेरा वाइफ का नाम काटा।
ऐसे कैसे हो गया
पता नहीं, वो फॉर्म भरा था, उसका बाद वो बोला, वो स्टैम्प वाला जो कागज आया था बोला कि बाद में ठीक होगा, बाद में आया डिलीट आया, फिर वो ऑनलाइन करने के लिए बोला। लेकिन अभी जो परेशानी हो रहा है, ये तो बहुत परेशानी हो रहा है। काम धाम छोड़ के 4-5 दिन 6 दिन लगातार इसी काम में लगा रहता है, सब कुछ छोड़ दिया। ऐसा बहुत आदमी है जो लगातार 20 साल 30 साल से वोट दे के आ रहा है, उसका भी नाम काटा। ऐसा भी आदमी है।
मेरी बेटी की शादी को, ठीक है, टाटा में रहती है बेटी, यहाँ पर आई है, अब यहीं पर रह रही है। बैंक अकाउंट है, आधार कार्ड है, पैन कार्ड है, वोटर कार्ड है, पीछे वोट भी दे चुकी है, पर अभी नाम नहीं।
ऐसा कैसे हो गया?
अब ये तो वही जानते हैं ना जो काटने वाले हैं, वो बांग्लादेशी है या घुसपैठी है, तो वही जानते हैं कि वो बांग्लादेशी है ना घुसपैठिया है।
আমার ছেলে মেয়ে বউ বেটি ঘরে কেউরও নাই ভোট, কোথায় থেকে আসলো? আমি মালদার, আমার ছেলে মেয়ে কোথায় থেকে আসলো? আমি দেশের থাকবো মালদাতে, আমার ছেলে মেয়ের নাগরিক হয়ে থাকবে, কোথায় যাবে? যে আমার ছেলেকে যদি কেউ নিয়ে যায় তাহলে আমি কি সহ্য করতে পারবো? আমার নাম তো ঠিক আছে, কিন্তু আমার ছেলের নাই, মেয়ে নাই, তো আমি কি নিয়ে থাকবো?
So Manadeepa, we saw lines, we talk to people, my mother's not in it, or my daughter's not in it, my husband not in it, I met somebody. There's a lot of unhappiness, but how will it get reflected in voter behavior, do you feel?
Well, one of the things that's very clear is those who are getting left out are not going to vote. So that is the shocking truth. And that is something that is going to...
What about those who can vote and just that their family is not
exactly.
Being,
so
what is their behavior going to be? How will it affect them?
There are two things that are happening. They will either be very, very angry and vote against the BJP, which they see as engineering this kind of election commission driven SIR process. I mean, I think that is about the only reaction that there can be. if your family has been left out. So that is one. I can't see anybody who has family left out going out and voting for the BJP. So that is
It's a
a
very
reality.
significant statement.
But the other factor is that the minority vote is hit.
Yeah, we need to get that verified with data, but early indicators are that it is, but it's not conclusive yet. A lot more research has to be done. All we know is so many voters have been deleted and the margin was only so much, but you don't know who or what until you do more research. Sorry, you were going to say something.
But it's true that everywhere you speak to people, they say that the minority vote might not get splintered despite the presence of more Muslim parties, because in the background of SIR, they will consolidate in favor of the TMC.
Okay, thank you very much. That was fascinating. And you told me who's going to win. Can I tell them? I'll do it.
Quietly.
Thank you for watching us. We'll have another West Bengal countdown a little closer to election, the final election date. Thank you for watching.